Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Yeah, you know, I'm shooting straight from the hip.
This is Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know, I'm shooting straight from the hip. Love, peace, and hair grease. Yeah, you know, I'm shooting straight from the hip.
Let's take a trip around the curve.
Hampton, but we the real HU, girl. Hi, everybody. I got my sound on. I'm back. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Oh, let me fix my shirt. It's looking crazy. Okay. Hi, I am Carla Renata. If this is your first time tuned in, you have tuned into the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. And what we do here is we talk about films, we review them, and we do some interviews with people above and below the line in the film industry. Sometimes those people are A-listers, sometimes they're not, but they're all here at the Curvy Critic. So I usually start out the show with a little around the curve action and telling you what I did the week before. What I did the week before was do all these interviews that you're about to see. And I went to a premiere for Emergency, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But the first thing I want to talk about is there are two series that I did some interviews for. One is called Night Sky, which stars Sissy Spacek and J.K. Simmons. And the other one is The Lincoln Lawyer, which stars Manuel Garcia Rolfo and Becky Newton, Jazz Ray Cole, and Angus Sampson. I kind of love both of these shows for different reasons, but I'm going to tell you why I kind of love The Lincoln Lawyer. And like I always say here, I don't do television reviews because I act on television. I haven't acted on television in a minute, but I'm not going to put that out there. We're going to do that in a minute. But anyway, I love The Lincoln Lawyer because The Lincoln Lawyer is actually has been adapted into a TV series that was once a film that starred Matthew McConaughey. And it did pretty decent as a film, but now it's been turned into a TV series by David E. Kelly, and it's produced by A&E Networks. Let me tell you something. Manuel is doing the daggone thing. And this is based on a series of Michael Connelly books. And they've never had someone of color play the lead of Mickey Haller. So this time they've got Mickey being played by Manuel Garcia Rolfo. So without further ado, I'm gonna let you listen to what he has to say about playing that role. Here we go. Manuel Garcia Rolfo from The Lincoln Lawyer. What's up, homie?
How are you, mi Carla? You good?
I'm good. Oh, I like the way you say Carla, rolling them R's. I cannot roll my R's to save my life. It's so sad. But listen, brother, I love you in this role. It's really, really great. And I was doing a little digging around, and I found out that with these Connelly novels, your character was written as a biracial character, and you're the first Latino to play that. How are you feeling about that? That must be so exciting for you.
Yes, really, really excited. Yeah, I was so thankful and so blessed by, to be playing a character like that, a character that it's like larger than life. I mean, Mickey Haller, and to be part of this incredible books of Michael McConnelly and yeah, really thankful that, they took the, Netflix and the showrunners and the producers that took the chance of hiring, a Mexican to play Mickey Haller.
So, I love that. I love that. How much fun did you have riding in those Lincolns, though? That's what I really want to know.
Oh, especially the old Lincoln. It was, I wanted to keep that car. I fell in love.
You mean they didn't give you one? You got to get that in your contract.
Right. Yes. I'm like, okay, I'm taking it. Like, no.
And David E. Kelly is known for having like these marathon long monologues in his writing, which are stupendous. And I know that firsthand. I worked with Cameron Manheim on a project, and she talked about having to do that on the practice all the time. And we see what that did for her. She got numerous Emmys as a result of it.
Right.
But what has that been like for you, having to tackle all that dialogue? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, but you know what? To know that you're working with David A. Kelly, with a producer like that, it just gives you peace of mind, or it frees you, because you know you're doing, you're just gonna go into a project that he's amazing at it. Like, he knows, he has the formula that it works, so it just frees you a little.
And you have these 3 homies that are keeping you in line. You got Izzy, you got Lorna, you got Cisco. They're like your 3 amigos that are keeping you in line. Have you had to have somebody do that for you in real life? Someone that kind of just pulled you up by the scruff and was like, "Hey, hold up, wait a minute."
Latino families are very, your mother will grab the, and he will put you in place, she will put you in place. But no, yeah, definitely. I have friends from since I was a kid that they keep me, grounded and in the right path, I guess.
What would you say is the biggest similarity between you and Mickey? Because you seem kind of like this, and Mickey is like bravado with a capital B.
Oh, I have bravado, Carla. Oh yes.
Okay.
I'm just.
You're like, look.
I'm just
make
behaving.
No mistake.
Wait till you meet me in person, huh?
Okay, Manuel, don't play now. Do not play. Do not play.
No. I don't know. Honestly, especially when I was shooting the show, I had this. I just felt very similar. What I was going through, me, Manuel, and what was Mickey going through. Because for me, Manuel, it was like my first lead on a TV show, and on a different language. And it's like the challenge, and you have to prove yourself. And, I was having it was really stressful, really fun, and really everything, but it was really stressful. And, and I think Mickey Haller was going through that as well. He had to prove himself that he's because he wasn't working for some time now. So, we had that. But no, I do. I mean, Mickey Haller, he thrives on stress. Me, I like to be, like you said, But no, I find some similarities too.
Well, your co-stars were singing your praises. They were like, he is the bomb. We love him. Him tackling that language, and it's not his first language, is great. And I just wanted to let you know that they was giving you thumbs up and were lifting you up. So I wanted to let you know that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Manuel. This has been so lovely. Congratulations on the show. I'm hoping that you guys get a second season, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Big hug. Bye.
Okay, isn't he a cutie pie? I kind of love Manuel, and you guys are going to love him when you see him in The Lincoln Lawyer. But let me say hello to my boy, Brandon, who always has news for me. So this week, he's telling me that on the 27th, Pixar has a movie title for next year called Elemente. So yes, we're going to look forward to that. And he also tells me that he can't wait for the new Chip 'n Dale movie on Disney Plus this Friday. He's hearing good reactions to it. I actually saw that movie, and it is hella cute. If you like Chip 'n Dale, the little cartoon characters, the little I guess you'd call them squirrels or chipmunks. You call them chipmunks. They are so cute. It's called Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. It's so adorable, and it's going to be on Disney Plus this Friday, but I'll have the written review up of that in a couple of days. So let's move on with The Lincoln Lawyer, shall we? Now, not only did I talk to Manuel, but I talked to his co-stars that I mentioned in the interview with him. And Becky Newton, who you guys will see, the blonde in the middle, she actually was on Ugly Betty back in the day and a plethora of other shows, but she is hilarious, and we had way too much fun. So without further ado, here is Becky Newton, Jazz Ray Cole, and Angus Sampson from The Lincoln Lawyer.
Yeah.
Hi, critic.
Y'all were like, hey, it's the curvy critic. All right, all
I was
right.
admiring the pink fuzzy chair because I thought that chair looks soft and I want to sit in it. Who is this? Who is this next to you? I'm seeing
It's Sanaa Lathan. It's Sanaa Lathan from a film called Happily Ever After.
I mean,
I worked with your father for a really long time. He's a director, Stan.
Yeah, Stan.
Yeah. And he's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Cool. I love y'all are fun. Okay, let's get into
Let's do
it.
it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Now, David E. Kelly, y'all, he is known for having these monologue-ish types of dialogues. And here he is again. I mean, the last time I think he had that kind of monologue-ish thing happening is when he did The Practice. How do y'all feel about tackling this dialogue from him? I will start with Jazz first. Yeah, Becky, wait. I'm
You
gonna
go
start
ahead.
with Jazz
You
first.
know, Kirby critic.
I mean, David E. Kelly, it's like to be able to say those words, you know, like that where his writing is just, it speaks for itself from The Practice all the way down to Big Little Lies. You just like, as an actor, you feel honored to be able to have such great writing. And you want to do it justice. No pun intended. So, you know, it was fantastic. And he gave us so much freedom to kind of explore our characters and kind of bring the elements, you know, of ourselves to it, which was fantastic.
See, what I was going to say is thank God I didn't have to do any of the monologues.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Manuel, our
I know
amazing...
you had some good one-liners.
I got
You're
one
the
liner
one-liner queen.
outfits. Here we go. But Manuel not only had to tackle these monologues, it's in his second language.
In his second
so
language.
that undertaking, even if it's your first language, is enormous. He, in his second language, especially as the trial went on, I mean, pages and pages of legal jargon that
Yeah.
like, and he did it so well. It was such a massive undertaking, and he was so successful in it. He worked so hard. He had a
hard.
coach with him, running
Every day.
his lines. So I'm grateful to be a part of a David E. Kelly show, but not have to actually do all of the monologues myself.
And you are speaking like a true ex-wife. You are talking like Lorna. I kind of love you for that. Now, come on, Angus. You the Cisco kid. Forget about your name just being Cisco. You are the Cisco kid, dude. How much fun are you having playing that part? Because I'm digging it like 1,000%.
Thank you. No, it's a joy. You don't want to ever be predictable in anything that you do on or off screen, and I certainly you certainly go into these things thinking, oh, right, he rides a Harley Davidson, he must be this, but then you have him seated behind a computer monitor, and it's like, what? Why is he doing that? And then he's working with the ex-wife of his boss. It's, for me personally, it's like I don't have to do any of the legal mumbo jumbo, the monologues. I just get to act opposite Becky or perform and exist with her. We have a great friendship and admiration, I think, of one another. And then they put me on a motorbike to cruise around Thai Town or up the 405. As someone from Australia, it's a dream come true to be cast in a David E. Kelly series that obviously has such a wonderful history and legacy. But I'm just trying to serve and keep up with the rest of this amazing cast and the wonderful screenplays.
Listen, only somebody from Australia or someplace else will be like, oh, I just love riding on the 405.
Right? Only.
You said that, I was like, what is happening right now? Real quick. You guys are the perfect ensemble to Mickey. You pull him up and you make him accountable. Has anybody ever had to do that for you? I'll start with Becky.
Sorry.
I was just thinking, I mean, I think as actors, what works so well, like the interplay between actors, we have to do that for each other every time we show up for a scene. And I have so much respect for these two. I'd been in a pandemic bubble. I hadn't even talked to another human. And then I meet these two, we work together. And you have to be accountable. You have to know. I'm going to bring it the first take. So by the time we get to the fourth take, it's amazing. And I think we really lucked out in this group of people. People showed up ready.
Yeah. Anybody want to add? You good?
Nailed it.
I figured because y'all was quiet. Y'all were like, I think she took that for me. Well, y'all were delightful. This was so much fun. I really enjoyed the show. I hope it gets picked up for a second season. Congratulations. And thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susie.
I really did enjoy this show. It's a lot. It's fun. The dialogue is crisp and clean, and it moves really fast. And the characters and the actors are a lot of fun to watch. It is going to be on Netflix. It's streaming I think it started streaming as of Friday, so you can catch it right now on Netflix. It's called The Lincoln Lawyer, starring Manuel Garcia Rojo. I tried to roll my R's. I always suck at rolling my R's, but anywho, I digress. So let me talk to you a little bit about this series called Night Sky. It is going to be on Amazon Prime on Friday, April 20th, not April, May 20th. And it stars Sissy Spacek, J.K. Simmons, Kaya McNiernan, and Chai Hansen. And it's dealing with, it's a sci-fi series, and it's dealing with this older couple, Irene and Franklin, who are respectively Sissy and J.K. They have kept a secret chamber that leads them to a deserted planet, but the arrival of this beautiful young man played by Chai kind of upends their quiet existence, and then shenanigans ensue. But I kind of love it for the fact that it poses this question of what if we were able to make that trek into a different world from where we are right now, and still be able to flip back and forth between those two worlds? And what if we're someone who's older and know that we don't have a lot of life left and we're doing it? I really enjoyed this. It's a little bit of a slow burn, but I kind of enjoyed it. But I did get a chance to talk to Kaya and Chai all about that and about their characters. So I'm gonna let you hear what they have to say. Here's Kaya McNiernan and Chai Hansen from Night Sky on Amazon Prime.
Hey, Carla, nice to meet you.
I love your setup. It's so cute.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Everybody says so, so I'll take the compliment. So I want to know first and foremost, if you guys could open a door, a magic door that led you to another planet, what planet would you want to walk into? And I'll start with Kaya first.
Ooh, I would want to walk into a planet that is bountiful and beautiful and like I don't know, Candyland or something. Just everyone's having fun. Everyone's like loving and living and laughing.
She said Candyland. I love that. What about you, Chai?
I mean, I can't go past the Candyland. I've got a bit of a sweet tooth myself, so I think I'm going to say Candyland as well. But I think I'm going to mix up all the colors, so everything's like a different color. You know, the sand's blue, sky's green. We've got different types of animals that don't eat you. I think that's a big a big one. And lots of forest and water. I don't know.
Y'all are deep. Candyland and forest and water. I'm like, what is going on? Y'all are like into the nature and the food. I'm digging it. So we see that we know that some things are happening with Denise and Jude. Where do we think they end up? I'll start with Chai first.
You mean in terms of relationship or physically?
All of that.
Okay.
Yes, all of that.
Kaya and I, we've talked about this a couple of times on set. I think, I wouldn't put it past them if there was some kind of attraction there. I don't know. I think you're going to have to.
I saw it. I'm just saying. I saw it.
We did a good job.
Maybe we need a season 2 just for Denise and Jude. I'm just saying.
Yeah, who knows? Really, the sky's the limit there.
And what is your favorite sci-fi thriller and why? I'll start with Kaya first.
I love Alien, like Prometheus. I love that stuff. I think it goes like so deep and can keep going. So those are my favorite. I think they're so wild.
You said one of my most favorite franchises, which is Aliens. I have a huge collection of like alien little figurines. I've got one that glows in the dark. It's like it's yay big. And also Jurassic Park. I'm such a fan of dinosaurs. That was my first movie that I ever saw as well, was Jurassic Park in cinemas. I was 4 years old and I was absolutely shitting my pants.
So you're living for that sequel, huh?
Oh yeah, I wish that is another series, a show that I'd love to be on. Jurassic Park.
That is funny. Last but not least, what is the most important lesson each of you learned working with JK and Sissy? And I'll start with Kaya first.
One of the things that JK taught me when we were doing a scene together is to always stand up for your work. And if the director and the writer and the lighting and everything is trying to move and do whatever, to stand your ground and say, no, I'm going to do my performance like this, and I'm going to need you all to work around me in order to make that work. And I thought that was amazing advice. And I have taken that with me into many sets after. So, yeah. I mean,
that's a powerful lesson,
advice, right? Like,
it is. That's huge. I saw that as well, actually.
Yeah.
I saw how JK and both Sissy handled approaching every scene. They really took their time with it. They kind of ironed out any kind of crinkles, and I think that's why they're just so solid in their work. Is they don't rush anything. They really, really take their time with it. So. They really care about their craft, and I think they really led by example.
Yeah.
And so I followed. I was like, you know what, they're doing it. I'm going to start caring about my work. Not that I didn't, but really focusing on.
You were like, let me qualify this. I do care about my work.
I have to put the disclaimer just in case anyone didn't believe me.
And if you could time John into any genre or decade, where would you want to go? I'll start with Chai first.
I don't know what that era is called, but where everyone is wearing those really beautiful suits with the frills and you know what it is?
I don't know what era.
The Renaissance era?
Is it the Renaissance or the Gilded Age or something like that?
Yeah, like the fashion is just amazing, and everyone plays piano. I don't know.
You are hilarious. What about you, Kaya?
Or we'll go back to the caveman days where, we're fighting dinosaurs. So I could actually really live that experience.
And we're back to the dinosaurs. What about you, Kaya?
I am going to the 1920s Harlem Renaissance, baby. I'm going to be in there with the flapper dresses and everything. Or the late 60s. I'm going to be like a hippie with a big afro. One of the two.
I love that. Well, you guys, that is my time. I loved talking to y'all. Y'all were delightful, and you were flawless in Night Sky. I really enjoyed watching your work, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla. That means a lot.
Oh, you're welcome. Honey, between the dinosaurs and the Harlem Renaissance, Chai is pure comedy, and I enjoy talking to Kaya and Chai. And you guys, check out Night Sky, starring Chai Hansen, Kaya McNiernan, Sissy Spacek, and J.K. Simmons. It will be on Amazon Prime Video this Friday, May 20th. Now, there's a film that played at Sundance. It's called Emergency. And there's a reason that it's called Emergency. The reason being that these college kids are going out. You know how when you're in college, there's that one weekend where you got to go around and do all these parties. It's like a round of parties that you got to go around to. And if you hit all the parties, you're like legendary on campus as a result of that. Well, these three young men attempt to do that. And what ends up happening is they come home and they find a white girl on the floor passed out. Now, they don't know if she's dead. They don't know if she's drunk. But in the process of them trying to figure that out, shenanigans ensue. It's directed by Carrie Williams, and it was made a huge splash at Sundance, and it's about to make a huge theatrical splash when it becomes released on this Friday, May 20th. Almost everything I'm talking about today is being released on May 20th. So I'm going to start out by talking to the guys. It's RJ, Donald, and Sebastian, because we have, can I just say, I kind of love talking to people. I kind of love doing this, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So without further ado, here's RJ, Donald, and Sebastian from Emergency. Hey guys, I saw y'all playing around. What was y'all doing?
Nothing crazy.
Why you look guilty, RJ? RJ's like nothing. All right, so listen, I want to know, as Sean, Kunle, and Carlos, what drives Kunle to remain friends with Sean and Carlos and vice versa? And I'll start with RJ first.
What I think it's the fact that there are requirements in Sean that Kunle needs, and same in Sean for Kunle. You feel me? There's parts of Kunle that Sean wants, but has to obtain through learning his friend.
I'm going to take that question as disrespect. I think Carlos is a lovely individual. Who would not be friends with Carlos? Like, come on. Actually,
you say I'm putting disrespect on Carlos' name? What you saying? What you saying, homie?
She's so kind. You know, like like late nights, you know, like weird conversations, like a couple bong rips in, like, you know. Actually, I feel like Kunle and Carlos feel like the more obvious connect. Like, you know, we're both like very studious, both like, you know, kind of awkward, just. Yeah. We talked about our nights where we're drinking like cinnamon toast crunches.
Oh my
gosh.
I hate that. Sean hates that.
I have some of those tonight.
But I do love Carlos.
I just feel like Kunle is like that universal friend where he can just, you plug him into any group and I'm like the glue that brings everyone together because it's all about positivity with me. He always sees the good in everyone. So he never lets a situation get out of hand. It's just like, hey, you know, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be fine.
Even though it's not.
Even though it's
He's
so,
like,
yeah.
no, it's not. He's
So,
like,
yeah.
no, it's not. Oh, you're funny. So, Sebastian, I just gotta put some respect on your name because you didn't call me out now. I gotta put some respect on your name because you done worked with two of my really, really good friends. You done worked with Billy Porter on Pose.
Oh, wow.
And you done worked with my girlfriend Lilius White on the Get Down, right?
Yeah. Actually, that's crazy. I always think about that on the Get Down. I remember I was sitting next to Billy Porter and he had the big afro wig and like, I think like a mustache or something. And he was like, oh, I have to get back to my show on Monday. I hope we wrap this quick. I'm like, what show are you doing? He's like, Kinky Boots. I'm like, bro, are you Billy Porter? Like, oh my God.
No, you did not.
It's crazy.
You're funny. Ooh, that is hilarious. See, I put some respect on your name. You got to respect me for that. I'm just saying. So I want to ask y'all about this too. There's that scene where the N-word is spoken about. And I just want to know from you guys, what is it that you think makes the N-word so powerful in this society? Like, what is it about that word where we're just like, yeah, we can say that, but you can't say that. So this time I'll start with Sebastian. Yeah, that's right. I'm starting with you. I'm starting with you. That's right. Come on.
Well, I mean, I mean, look, like I'm not even in that scene.
No, but I want to know your opinion about it. I know you're not in that scene, but I want to know your opinion about it.
That's like, you know, I mean, from the Carlos perspective, like a lot of this is about like empathy and about like not only like racism, but colorism. Like KD talks about this a lot, that like, you know, as a Latino individual within like a mixed family, like you're always kind of measuring how other people have to deal with like aspects of that, how much you have to manage like the way that you appear to other people. And so there's a sensitivity that's always like, you know, how is everyone? I'm always trying to take care of everybody else, you know. So
see, that wasn't so hard. That wasn't so hard. Come on, Donald. Bring up the rear. Come on.
It's wild because me as a person, I was so uncomfortable just sitting there and looking at it like on screen, and it's literally just us, and they all turn to us like, "Hey, what do you got?" And it's like, you know, it's in the script, but you still feel it, and you can't, you know, there's nothing that you can really do about that.
And that was a real thing that happened.
It's a real thing that happened.
Actual event. Yeah.
And it's tough, but go.
No, I was just saying, like, I think nowadays I more make fun of people because I know the reason why they're saying it, right, in a way of either trying to be disrespectful or part of the clique. But it's like it's even more funny the hard they try, because it's like, you really thought that was gonna hurt my I'm so sorry. Look, most of us get more money than y'all now. Like, you feel me? Like it's so old. It's like, find something else to say or deal with the repercussions of that ass whooping.
And I think that is a good place for me to stop this conversation. Y'all were hilarious. Thank you so much for giving me your time today. I appreciate it. Love the film. Love you. Mwah.
Love you.
Thank you.
I don't know what it is about me in interviews that make people show they natural born behind, but baby, those boys were pure comedy, and I love them for it. Let me push this back just a little bit. It's just like face. And that's probably why they show their behind, because I show my behind. But let me just give you a little bit more insight into what Emergency is. It's a very powerful film. It's going to leave you feeling some kind of way. I remember me and another critic that saw it in real time. when we saw it, we were like, we had to stay. What's happening with my eyes? Something going on with my eyes. My hair is looking crazy. Okay. All right. We stayed behind and we chatted about it for a minute because it kind of threw us for a loop because it started out looking like it was going to be like this little, silly, crazy teen movie. And what it turned out to be was a social commentary film about the state of affairs of where we are today, racially, code switching, all of that. So I'll let Carrie Williams and KD Davila tell you more about that. They are the writer and director of Emergency, which is going to be on Amazon Prime.
What's up, Carrie and KD?
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. Look at you. You got a whole song happening in your head, huh?
Always.
You just rock. You're like, hey. So the one thing I want to know from y'all more than anything else, there's that scene in the film where after everything is popped off, Kunle is on the ground in cuffs, but the other kids are sitting on the curb. And y'all didn't have Kunle get shot. I want to know why you made that decision, because it was an easy decision to make to have him shot as opposed to not having him shot in those circumstances, because it's something that we see all the time. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I'll start with Carrie first.
Well, for me, I mean, it was, I wanted to see the loss of innocence that was happening in that moment as he watched the other kids on the curb and he's on the ground. And that realization that he's different was very important for the story overall as a whole.
Yeah, I think that's something we talked about really early on, that we wanted to tell a story about those incidents that never make the news. You know, the kind of horror of it as you're walking away from the movie is how often does this sort of thing happen that merely traumatizes people and doesn't, it doesn't take you actually, getting killed to instill that trauma, especially when these things start happening to young people. So that was something that was important to both of us. My family is Mexican American. I'm from Los Angeles, and yeah, it's something that young men start getting exposed to when you're a teenager. Essentially, you start getting looked at like you're perceived as
a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I can't let Kunle get shot in my movie.
Yeah.
I love him too much.
Listen, I loved Kunle too.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me tell you something. I watched that movie holding my breath. I was like this the whole entire time because I was seeing things that were familiar in my life. I've been pulled over by the police in a park at night by myself.
Mhm.
So, I was like, oh Lord. And then you added the whole Goldilocks and the Three Bears situation. I was like, y'all were giving me a modern day version of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and I was there for all of it. I really was.
I love it.
Talk to me about shooting those car scenes, because 3/4 of this film is shot in a car.
It was tough for me because it was done. We couldn't shoot actually on location. We had to shoot on a stage, and we actually had to kind of block shoot it. So the challenge was, we would have to shoot Kunle's side, all the different scenes on him. So we were jumping in emotional beats from beginning, middle to end sort of thing. So that was challenging to keep tracking, okay, at this point, you're supposed to be in this place emotionally, get all of his stuff right, and then turn around and do Sean's stuff and so on and so forth. So that was a bit of a challenge, but the actors, I think, really bonded because they were in the car so much. So in these close quarters, they're just trying to, make each other laugh, having a good time. It got hot and funky in there and they would laugh about that. So, we did what we made it work. But for me as a director, I was like, oh man, I just wish we could shoot in more of a traditional sense, but time didn't permit and logistics didn't permit.
Katie, in writing the script, there was that line where you said, where you talk about white folks using the N-word is the only rule that we ask of them, and they don't want to follow it because they don't like it. I want to know what inspired you to write that particular line of dialogue. I mean, it's true, but I just want to know.
I think that was a conversation that we had very early on in the script writing process. So I had read an article about so that situation with like professors saying the N-word in class in an isolated academic context happened both at my undergrad and my grad school. Like it just kept happening. And so we kind of talked about it, and I think that scene kind of came out of our conversation about it, and just like the things that we were talking about, just like surrounding the national conversation and surrounding just our personal conversations. Just, yeah, that's kind of where the lines came from, and a lot of stuff came from just us talking about the state of the world. So, and that really is a reality. And I mean, the reason we wanted to include that scene was that, you know, it shows that these guys, like, even though you're trying to just be in class and you're still going to be everyone turning around and looking at you, is that thing that happens all the time for, you know, people of color in schools. And like, I'm Latina, but I'm obviously pale and like white passing. So like, it's a weird situation where, you know, people will say certain things in front of you that they wouldn't say in front of you if you were, you know, darker skin. So I don't know. It's like the movie's about perception in a lot of ways, and like how the way that the world around you perceives you just plays into how you have to navigate the world around you. And yeah, I mean, it's you know, that's where the comedy and the drama of the movie come from. So,
and I the thing I love about that scene with them, you know, walking and talking about this, it just further illustrates their differences of worldview and revealing their character early on around like such a kind of incendiary topic, you know, like, so it's revealing that character in an interesting way, and you're like, wow, they're just discussing the N-word, but we understand why, because it was just thrust upon them in this classroom, which was a very seemingly triggering scene to open up the movie on. So I thought it was great, you know, in a character perspective to have them discuss that, and, you know, Kunle defend it, you know, or whatever, and Sean being like, what is wrong with you, man? Like, you know, and, you know, so.
I love this film and it messed me up in the best possible way. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all tonight.
All right. Thanks.
So when I said I'd see them tonight, I went to the premiere party later on that night, and I had such a great time. They had all kinds of little pictures and things. I'll throw them up on social media so that you can see them. But now I am down into the wire, and I'm going to try to wrap this up as quickly as possible. Downton Abbey. I love period pieces. And I love Julian Fellowes. Julian Fellowes has worked on School of Rock. He won an Oscar for Gosford Park. He has worked on the series Downton Abbey, and the first incarnation of the film, and the second one, Downton Abbey, A New Era. I love him so very much. But before I get to Julian, I have some other people from the house. I have Lady Mary, and I have Jack Barber, and I have Mr. Mosley. So we'll get into them, and then I'll tell you who Jack Barber is, because he doesn't live in the house, but he does play an integral role in Downton Abbey, A New Era. So without further ado, here's Michelle, Hugh, and Michael.
Hi. Oh, hi everyone.
You look so glam.
Yeah, fantastic.
Listen, I dressed up for y'all because y'all are Downton Abbey, honey. Y'all are Downton Abbey. I had to bring it as I knew that you would.
Fabulous.
So first of all, I just got to get this out the way. I did some research and found out that, Hugh, you have some kind of fascination with fake hands. What's up with that?
Funny, fake hands. Yeah, I collect hands. And I suppose fake, yeah, I don't collect actual human hands.
Right.
Just
That's why I said fake.
That's their fake. But yeah, I collect hands.
What type of hands?
Anyone that takes my fancy.
Well, you take a cast of it.
No. If I see like a sculpted hand or a glove stay or whatever it might be, yeah, I collect. That's what I collect.
Okay.
They didn't.
Kevin was like, okay.
worked with him now for
This
a
has
while,
never
and
come
it
up.
never came
Your
up, not
fascination
once.
with him.
Aren't you glad I brought that to your attention? So now y'all have something to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
How
very
am
good. It's
I?
a fine pair.
So let me ask you this. How much fun did you guys have playing a movie within a movie? Because I got my entire life watching that.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
it was great. It was it kind of made it quite playful, and it felt like playing dress up even more than our job usually does.
Yeah, it was fascinating as well, sort of learning about how they made movies in those days.
You guys have been in this franchise for such a long time, but I'm just curious to know, what is your favorite period film to watch? Because you've been in a period piece for a minute, and I'm just wondering, what period piece did you like to watch? Like, what's your favorite film? I was talking to Joanna, and she was saying that she loves the film noirish types of films, like the All About Eves, things of that sort. So we'll start with Kevin this time. Okay, go ahead, Hugh.
I'm not called the screwball comedies. I mean, same kind of era maybe as some of those noir
The Marx
movies.
Brothers and things like that.
Marx Brothers, but like Cary Grant, Hepburn, Bringing Up Baby. That kind of era.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Roman Holiday, Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah. Oh, and
a lot
also
of the Audrey films I love.
anything set in the 1980s.
Oh yeah.
Big hair.
Big hair, big shoulders.
Yeah. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also when I grew up, I suppose.
There's this one moment where somebody says it's a mistake to meet your favorite actors, right? Have either one of you been in a position, you don't have to say who it was, but either one of you been in a position where you've met someone that you just were like, I really, really, adore your work, and they were not as lovely as you had hoped? I love the grins that are coming along with that question.
I think it's rarer than you would think, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a really collaborative, like group activity that we do.
Yeah.
And so it's not that common that you meet somebody that's a nightmare, but when you do, it really it sticks in the memory. I can think of a couple.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, and I'll tell them later.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave that alone. Last but not least, what was the most important lesson you learned working with Maggie Smith? Because she is legendary and iconic, and I personally have been watching her work since the 70s. So, and I enjoy her so very much. But I wanted to know from you all who have worked with her quite a bit over the years, what is the most important lesson you learned from working with her?
Her attention to detail. I find her process an inspiration, because she's meticulous in what's written on the page, has been throughout the entire show. She kind of doesn't let anything, she's not someone who just comes to set and just goes through the motion. She's very, very professional, and also just the humor that she finds within the scene. Sometimes the scene can be quite a serious one, and she manages to find a nugget there in the scene that makes a moment really funny, and then you can go from crying to laughter in seconds.
I always find there's always a little difference between when we rehearse and when you start filming it. And there's always she always brings something to the take as well.
Yeah.
That wasn't there in rehearsal. So it's always evolving. She's always thinking.
Well, that's my time, you guys. It was been my pleasure to talk to you, and I'm so excited about the film. Thank you so much for giving me your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so let me tell you who Jack Barber is. Jack Barber plays the director who comes into the house to direct the movie within the movie in Downton Abbey, A New Era. And some things may or may not pop off between him and Lady Mary. You have to see the film to watch out. But now, without further ado, we're going to talk to Phyllis Logan, who plays Miss Hughes, and Joanne Froggatt, who plays Anna Bates. And we had a real good time. So here's Joanne and Phyllis from Downton Abbey, A New Era.
Hi, ladies.
Nice to meet you, Carla. Hello. You look so glamorous.
I was just thinking the same about y'all. Y'all look fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you are
look
our
at
most
each other like,
glamorous
yes, we
interviewer
do.
so far.
definitely. You get the prize.
Yeah.
You do. You look really, really lovely. I want to know, first and foremost, how much fun was it for you guys to play a movie within a movie? Because that was hilarious.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed that, because we certainly did. No, we found it fascinating, apart from learning a lot about the history of movie making, and all the technicalities that go along with that. It was just such fun to do and get dressed up for a change.
Yeah, it was great fun. It was such a great idea of Julian's, actually.
I know.
And to have, it just leads into so much comedy. I think this film I thought it was really funny. It made me laugh out loud on both occasions that I've seen it. But also to have sort of Dame Maggie Smith, double Oscar winner, sort of saying all these cutting lines about actors and movie making and stuff. It just adds into the humour of it all. And it was such a great idea of Julian's to set the film within a film.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit more cheekier than the other versions that I've seen. When you were talking a little bit about learning about this era, did you have an opportunity to check out any silent films and look at what that process was like prior to getting into this chapter of Downton Abbey?
I mean, I don't suppose, I didn't necessarily track things down. I have seen, silent movies and the making of silent movies, and it's thrilling, the fact that when you did used to go and watch, there would be an orchestra, playing away, or a Hammond organ playing away, accompanying all the action. I mean, all that stuff's fascinating, and the fact that they have to make their gestures so much more, pronounced, and subtlety kind of goes out the window with silent acting. And I think that was portrayed beautifully, both by Dominic West and Laura Haddock, who played the leading man and woman and looked gorgeous, and they were both Dominic West. Oh, wasn't he lovely?
Both lovely.
Yes, he was, honey. He was a drink of water for sure.
And Laura's fantastic.
Yeah, and just to close it out, I know you guys have been entrenched in Downton Abbey, but if you had to pick your favorite period piece to watch outside of the franchise, what would it be for you?
Well, I love the sort of 40s kind of thing, and I was a big admirer of Bette Davis, so All About Eve is one of my favorite films.
That's my favorite film of all time, ever. I know every line. It's ridiculous.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yes. Don't even get me started. Go ahead, darling. I'm sorry.
Fasten your seatbelts. You're going to be in for a bumpy ride.
Listen, don't go there with me, Joanna. Don't go there with me.
What period do I love? I'd actually love to do something 50s, 60s as well. Yeah. I've done 60s before, but I love that period of the 50s with the big sort of the big dresses and the kind of like teddy boys and all of that stuff. I love all that. Yeah.
Thank you for entertaining me, and thank you for giving me some of your time. I really appreciate talking to both of you.
No problem.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, my last bit from the cast is Laura Carmichael and Alan Leach, who respectively play Lady Edith and Tom Branson. We had fun too. Check it out. Let me see, where are they? Oh, there they are.
Hi, Alan and Laura.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. It's good to see y'all. I really enjoyed the film. I'm such a fan of the franchise. I wanted to know, though, how much fun was it for you guys to play a movie within a movie? Because it was hilarious for me to watch.
Yeah, I think it's what Julian does so well. He takes these characters that people do love and love seeing how they progress through the series, and he puts them in situations now that are completely against what they would normally have to go through. So I was actually quite jealous, because we very luckily got to go to the south of France, but we didn't get to be around so much of the fun and the frivolity.
I think you missed the bit with the servants as extras as well.
No, I was there.
Oh, you saw that.
I made a huge impact on you there. I was standing right beside you.
Oh yeah. You saw that bit, but yeah, that I loved shooting that scene. I thought it was so funny to see all the servants as extras in the movie. I think it was such an opportunity for hilarity. Yeah, as they all really played it really well.
Oh my God, I laugh so hard because that's what you all do for a living. So I can imagine as an actor, you have to tap into a really interesting kind of place to pull that off and make it believable as opposed to, look, I'm an actor playing an actor. So I just wanted to see how y'all felt about that. I also wanted to know from each of you, what was the most important lesson that you learned from working with Maggie Smith? Because she literally is an iconic legend. I've been watching her on screen like since the 70s. So I'll start with Laura first.
It's been the greatest joy to work with Maggie. It's such a privilege. And I think, she takes the work very seriously, but not herself seriously, which I think is an amazing thing. She's a joy to be around. She's so funny and naughty in between takes, I feel like. And I feel like the lesson that I always think about is that she'll sort of question everything. She'll interrogate why a character is doing that, why they're saying that, why is this moment like this and not like that. And it just means that she's constantly seeking for the most truthful way to play the scene, and it's very inspiring. It's very beautiful to watch her do that.
I remember one scene where she was going through her options or trying out a couple of things in rehearsals, and she discovered something, and she came over and she said, "Watch this. I think this is something quite nice." And it was a kind of a physical comedy moment, and afterwards she went, "Oh, isn't that delicious?" But what she was saying was not about her performance. She said, "Isn't it great when you find something like that?" And to have that joy of a woman of her vintage and what she's achieved, I think that's the lesson I'll take away: is never stop loving what you do. And if you do stop loving it, then maybe don't do it.
I think that's a wonderful lesson to learn. As you said, someone of her vintage, to still be able to discover things in the process of working is a beautiful thing, because it lets you know that she really does love her work. What is your favorite period piece to watch? I know you guys have been in this Downton Abbey thing for a minute, but what is your favorite thing to watch? I'll start with Alan first.
Oh, but movie-wise, I always go back to The Sting with Paul Newman and Robert Redford. I just love that movie.
Me too.
And the kind of said,
good choice.
So much stuff. I was a huge fan of Mad Men, and again have dipped into it recently. I think that show really nailed getting the period right, but also that excitement that you have, which I think Downton does as well, which is these moments are coming, these changes are afoot, and to watch characters you love respond to them. I thought it was flawless.
Again, enjoyed the film, and thank you for giving me some time to talk to you.
Lovely to speak to you. Thank you.
Bye. Okay, so before we get to the last interview, but certainly not least, with Mr. Julian Fellowes, the writer and producer of the Downton Abbey franchise, I want to tell you a couple of things about it review-wise. So it is produced by Focus Features, it's directed by Simon Curtis, and of course it is written and produced by Julian Fellowes, who did the 2010 series and the first movie, and this one, Downton Abbey, A New Era. This is a follow-up to the 2019 film in which the Crowley family and the Downton staff, they received a royal visit from the King and Queen of Great Britain. That happened the first time. This time, it is shenanigans. They're trying to figure out how to save the house, and they end up having to shoot a film in the house in order to keep the house afloat, because they were seriously trying to figure out how to sell pieces of the Downton Abbey house off. The ceiling is leaking, like it's a whole lot going on. But this is what I will say about it. It reels you in as new details come to light. And if you are a friend and a fan of the franchise, the series, and the movies, then you will love this. It is a film that pokes fun, as you heard some of the people say in the interviews, it pokes fun of actors and the shallowness of actors. It pulls at your heartstrings as a story that takes you on a journey of highs and lows. And so you need to have some tissue ready, because there's some things that are going down that I can't tell you about, because it would be a spoiler that is going to have you crying, because I boo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. This movie will make you laugh, it will make you cry, and everything in between. It runs for 2 hours and 5 minutes, and it is sheer escapism in every sense of the way, with spectacular cinematography, costume design, production design. And I absolutely loved it, and I would watch it again and again and again. And having said all of that, I will now close out the Curvy Critic with Colorado with this last interview with the writer and producer of Downton Abbey, Mr. Julian Fellowes. Hi, Julian. How are you?
Hello, very good. How are you?
I'm well. I dressed up for you, you know, had to bring a little Downton Abbey to LA, you know. So I first and foremost want to know, I noticed that you have been working on period pieces going all the way back to Gosford Park. What is it about this era and this genre that keeps drawing you back?
Well, part of it is that when you get known for doing one particular thing, that's what you keep getting asked to do. I mean, I have also enjoyed writing School of Rock and Separate Lies and other things that are contemporary. But period seems to be what I'm thought of for. But to answer your question with more detail, I think there are several things, really. We live in a pretty easygoing era in terms of society, intermingling, how we pursue our sex lives, you know, how we get on with things. There are very few barriers. I mean, there are difficulties, as there always will be in being alive, but not barriers. Whereas when you go back into period, you've got these social groups, not least women, which is half the population, where there were many things that were frowned on for them. They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. They weren't expected to do the other. If they did work, if they were working class women, they were only allowed to work in a very limited number of things, unless they were some sort of extraordinary genius that people would back off. And so what you have is you have a society where there are just as many clever people, clever women, ambitious women as now. There's no reason to think we invented them. And there are just as many people who are gay, who are lesbian, who are doing this and the other. We didn't invent them either. But they're all having to live with the restrictions of the society that you're depicting on the screen. And that gives you a lot of dramatic tension. And some comedy too, of course, but a lot of tension because so many characters are facing odds that are difficult to manage. And I think that does put a sort of bit of zip into the stories. Well, I hope it does, but I think that's one of the reasons.
It absolutely does. Of all the things that you've written and created, what is your favorite period piece or television series or film? Because you've created so many of them that I just wanted to know what your favorite one is.
My most autobiographical piece of work was a novel I wrote called Past Imperfect. And that was about my youth, really. It was about the London season of 1968. And I visited that again the other day, and I did enjoy it. But I loved working on School of Rock, which was a very happy job for me. And that was a big hit on Broadway, and that was very exciting. I loved Mary Poppins, which again ran on Broadway for a long time. I forget, 7 years or something. And that was the thing. But then I love Downton because it's been, you know, you create your own world and you can do what you like with all these people and all of that stuff. I loved Gosford because I thought it worked. Again, it had a fantastic cast and I won the Oscar for it, and it changed my life. I mean, I woke up, I never forget, actually, I was in the hotel and I woke up, there was a sort of bedside table by my bed, and on it was the Oscar. And I was looking up at it. And I remember thinking, I bet my life's going to be different from now on. And it was. So, you know, that has very happy memories for me. Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed lots of things. The things I haven't enjoyed, I won't name here.
And I think that is a good place to stop. This was a bucket list for me. Thank you so much. I love Downton Abbey and I love the Gilded Age. And I hope that you're able to bring us these stories for many, many more decades to come.
Oh, well, that is nice. I don't know that I have many more decades, but I hope I have a few more
years. We're not going to put that out there. I'm going to say many more decades. Thank you, Julian.
Thank you.
When I tell you that was a bucket list and he was so delightful, I literally could have talked to him for a whole hour more. He was just lovely. So you guys, Downton Abbey, A New Era will be in theaters on Friday, May 20th. It is produced by Focus Features, written and produced by Julian Fellowes. So check that out. Also check out Emergency, which will be on Amazon Prime, Night Sky, and The Lincoln Lawyer. Lincoln Lawyer is on Netflix. Night Sky is on Amazon Prime Video. You can check them out. You can check Lincoln Lawyer out now, but you can check out Night Sky on May 20th. That is it for this episode of The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I know that was super, super, super long. I had a huge amount of interviews to get to you, and I just wanted to make sure that you saw them all and heard what I had to say about all of the films that are coming out next week. I'm coming to you with Top Gun. Top Gun, baby. Tom Cruise, the eternal teenager. And when I tell you Top Gun is doing the damn thing, Top Gun and Tom Cruise are doing the damn thing. And for my boy Brandon, I'm going to be talking about Bob's Burgers. So we're going to do a whole Top Gun thing, and we're going to talk about Bob's Burgers. So that is it for this episode of The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. If you are on YouTube, please give me a big thumbs up to let me know that you were here. Click that bell for notifications and subscribe to the channel when you get a moment. If you are watching on Facebook Live, follow me there. If you're watching on Twitter, please follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and every place else where you can find podcasts and social media. I will be there. So until the next time, stay safe, stay sane, keep washing them hands, yo. And I will see you on the flip side. Love, peace, and hair grease. Deuces.